That's got to be the best kick I've ever seen. It's the best kick I've ever seen. There's more clutch kicks in the playoffs. I know. It's the best kick I've ever seen. I don't care.
Oh my God. To set an NFL record for distance while also winning the game like that. Yeah, I think it's pretty obviously the best.
Road?
And I think Tucker is the greatest kicker of all time. And it's just insane how good he is because has the most powerful leg of any kicker maybe ever, is evidenced today by him setting that record. And he's also the most accurate kicker of all time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Hot podcast. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by the two greatest co-hosts of all time, in Matthew Sponauer and Theo Ash. We don't have a massive episode for you today. We're going to talk about NFL Week 3 along with a little bit of college football stuff for you. But Matt and Theo, how are you guys doing today?
Just fantastic.
I'll be good if the Packers win this Sunday night football game. If they don't, they'll A, be 1-2, and B, I'll be in a financial crisis. So we're hoping for a big Packers win here.
Theo's betting has finally caught up with him.
Theo, when it comes to the
my
betting,
dangerous lifestyle is backfiring here in week 3.
When it comes to the betting, do you like have a set amount that you're willing to put down, or are you like? Is it really
I have a set amount? I haven't.
How
done
much
anything.
are you joking when you say that you need to win your bets?
I don't really need to win them, but it would be like about 100 or so.
It's the difference between
that I would be.
It's
down.
the difference
So
between being able to buy an Ed Sheeran hat.
It's like a couple hundred that I have in my FanDuel, so it's not like anything crazy.
Fair enough.
But it is like an annoying amount to lose.
That's totally fair. Speaking of about $100, we are doing a jersey giveaway. And all you have to do to enter is leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and leave your Twitter, IG, or TikTok handle, and we'll pick a winner in a couple weeks. But along with that, make sure you follow us on TikTok at StayHotPod for some awesome content there as well. And today was kind of exciting, and I want to get into the NFL and I want to get into college football. However, we do have the voicemail. The Stay Hotline is brought to you by Mint Mobile, and we are super pumped to, of course, have them as our first official sponsor. Let's hop right into the voicemail.
What's up, guys? I'm Chris from Boston, Massachusetts, and my question is, with the fate of the universe on the line, and no, I don't want any Iguodala jokes, but with the fate of the universe on the line, who's taking that last shot? NBA history. Anybody? You can pick anyone in any NBA history. They have to score.
Lillard. Damian Lillard.
Fate of the universe on the line.
I've seen it happen too many times. Damian Lillard.
You get any player in NBA history.
Fate of the universe on the line. It's not even a question for me. Damian Lillard.
What shot is it?
Like they need to hit the shot, or the death beam is pointed at Earth, and if he does it, we're all dead. You need a guy to hit this shot, and I'm taking Damian Lillard.
What shot?
3-point shot, probably not a. Yeah, it's probably not a layup.
Yes,
it's probably a
answer. What shot? How much time is on the clock?
It's from the elbow. It's a 3-point shot.
Deep mid-range post. Like
I guess it's a valid question.
You just need to hit a shot. We'll say you're down 1. And the aliens have told you we're going to laser.
I don't care what the shot is. I don't care if it's a dunk over. I'm taking Lillard. That guy's the clutchest dude I've ever seen in any sport ever. That guy is crazy. I'm taking him.
How much are you judging that off of?
Like what I've seen. I don't know. I just know he's cold-blooded. I don't care.
I'm taking Kobe.
Okay.
You're probably not wrong to take Kobe.
Yeah, I'm taking Kobe.
I would probably take LeBron.
I wouldn't take LeBron. If you said 24 seconds left in the game,
LeBron would pass it to Caruso.
Well, no, that's the difference.
I'm kidding.
If there's 24 seconds left in the game, I'm down 1. I want LeBron to have the ball and make a play and do whatever he's going to do. But if they have to take the shot, meaning that like I only have one dude and he has to take it no matter how covered he is, no matter how many people are guarding him, give me Kobe, because I know he can shoot over anybody. It doesn't matter how much they send at him, and he has to take the shot.
That's valid. I think Kobe's a valid pick. He's pretty cold-blooded. He's someone who's measured.
Yeah,
but
Kobe Bryant's little
Lillard
clutch.
Against the Nuggets had like 6 of those shots, and he hit like all of them. And like I remember, I think it was Austin Matthews literally like praying, like, thank you, Lord, when he finally missed one. I've got Lillard, but it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely tricky. And especially me not being like a big basketball guy.
LeBron
it's like
his fair share of games.
LeBron's not a bad choice.
LeBron's not a bad pick at all.
Because also, if he's sitting there and then he knows he has to take the shot, maybe he plays a little bit differently. But
that's also fair. And I feel like LeBron is one of the most versatile players ever.
He was also in Space Jam, so he knows a lot about playing against aliens.
The aliens. Yeah, he knows that pressure. It's only two players know that kind of pressure, LeBron and Michael. Like, that's it. So, yeah, I don't know. Someone's going to yell at us for not picking Michael, I feel like.
Nah, it's whatever.
Right,
someone's going to be furious. We're
not worried about that. We're not worried about that kind of slander. Well, anyway, that's the Stay Hotline presented by our good friends at Mint Mobile. We've all made the switch to Mint Mobile, and we're all big fans here. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, along with high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. And of course, if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, make sure you head on over to mintmobile.com/stayhot. That's mintmobile.com/stayhot. Once again, cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/stayhot. Now let's hop into NFL Week 3. So our producer told us to not talk about the Browns right off the bat because it seems biased, so we're not going to do that. I think we should talk about the Rams game because we said that game could determine who would be the MVP favorite, or at least Matt said that. Do you believe that Stafford's the MVP favorite right now, Matt?
Honestly, if you told me that he was, I wouldn't disagree. But at the same time, it's like week 3, and I don't think people are talking about MVP favorite. So,
except for Theo, who does the weekly.
Yeah, well, you do. That's true.
He might be my number one because Mahomes probably lost some ground after losing 2 straight now. Kyler has thrown too many dumb picks to be him.
Yeah, and he didn't.
Brady just lost to Stafford, and they've both played at a high level. So it probably is Stafford.
Stafford threw 4 touchdowns today.
Yes, I was right. He is the MVP frontrunner right now.
I think he is the MVP frontrunner.
Even though I don't feel like I was going off, when I said that, I meant more like the vibe. People would be the vibe with the narrative would be that Stafford was the MVP. I don't know if I've seen that as much, but I think if you held the vote today, he would win it. If you held the vote after the first 3 weeks. So I don't think it's unreasonable at all. Plus the Rams are 3-0 right now in a tough division.
They look really good.
They look really good.
And this was crucial for Stafford because, again, it's a guy without much success at all against winning teams, as I've mentioned before. It was something where it was like, when the bright lights do come on, is Stafford a guy who's going to win you these types of games? And today, he definitely looks like a guy who can win against anyone, can play consistently against anyone. Stafford, I think, showed why maybe the Rams should be the favorites to get out of the NFC, depending on what the Packers do tonight. It's looking like it'll be a close finish here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was a big fan of the Rams in the preseason. I'm sticking with them. It is
and
interesting,
more than just Stafford, honestly. And then you look at the Bucs. Let's not talk about only quarterbacks because I think that's a trap people tend to fall into. The Bucs have a problem, and that is their secondary. And And one problem, their front seven is so good, and teams just aren't. Last year, I think teams tried to be like, okay, we're going to run anyway. This year, like you saw the Cowboys do it, and you saw the Falcons do it, and now you saw the Rams do it. They're not even trying anymore. They're just like, okay, we're not even going to attempt it because it's not going to get anything going. So, they just pass it all over the yard, and the Bucs have been vulnerable to that. They almost lost to the Cowboys. The Falcons, honestly, were very close a long ways into the game, and then they pulled away. And then they lost to the Rams by multiple scores. So who's going to step up for them,
You don't want to – I don't want to read into this too much, after 3 games, but they're letting up like 30 points a game right now.
Yeah.
Take that for what you will. Part of it's they have a high-powered offense too, so I'm sure they're maybe
more
pacing
more possessions, more points.
But still, they've got a lot of great. That front seven is just ridiculous still. But I tend to agree with you. Also, I don't think their running game is as scary as consistently as it should be. I don't love any one of their running backs.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not scaring anyone. 49ers just scored to bring it to a 3-point game against Green Bay, to give that little update. But yeah, no, they can't really run the football, and they aren't really great at defending the pass. So those are 2 very glaring weaknesses in their game. And, there may not be the death laser powerhouse that maybe I expected them to be if they don't get that turned around. And there's no young rookie corner that can step it up. They drafted Trask in the 2nd round, which I think was kind of you're in win now mode, and you took a kind of a limited quarterback. Like, you could really use a corner right now. You could really use maybe a safety, and they took Trask instead. So, I think that's a pick that they'll end up regretting, unless obviously Trask ends up being some franchise guy. But
I think one thing that saved them last year was they were getting so much pressure that their secondary really didn't have to do a whole lot. And
their secondary really stepped it up in the playoffs. Sean Murphy-Bunting was kind of burnt toast a lot of last year, but in the playoffs, he had some big turnovers. He had some big plays. Against the Chiefs, that secondary in the Super Bowl was absolutely locked down. Against the Chiefs in the regular season, Tyreek Hill torched them for 200 in a single quarter. So in the playoffs, they really stepped up, and of course, narratives are built in the playoffs. So people kind of thought that secondary was maybe a little bit better than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't know if that secondary is going to be able to play at
They're
that
still really
level.
good, though. They're still really
they're still a good team, for sure.
There's weaknesses.
Another game I wanted to talk about, more so another team, the Giants. I don't want to overreact. Is this it for this Giants era? Daniel Jones, Gettleman, Joe Judge. This was the easiest game on the schedule, and they lost.
Yep.
That's not.
I don't even think the weird part is Daniel Jones has not been like the biggest problem. I don't think. I think he's having an okay year by his standards. They're just not obviously winning games, and they only put up 7 points.
I think they're poorly coached. I think they're a pretty spotty roster. Their offensive line being just terrible kills them.
Yep.
And
Saquon doesn't look like the guy he was before, really. They're where are the huge runs and crazy plays that you've come to expect from him.
It stinks. And just a weird offense. Weird.
I saw a tweet earlier today that Colin Johnson was like a waiver pickup. Like, dude was just like chilling. And Kenny Galladay is getting paid like $72 million. And Colin Johnson had more targets than him.
Whereas Kadarius Toney is a weird pick. They picked him the first round, even though the wide receivers seemed to be pretty set. A weird training camp where he didn't get much play, and he was weirdly sitting out. And there were all these issues, and then he gets gets into the regular season, and he's been totally invisible. And I think it comes down to Joe Judge. And when it comes to coaching, a lot of it is just being a likable guy and being a guy who can connect with their players and being a guy who players want to follow. You think of the best mentors and you don't have to have played football. Think of your best coaches, your best teachers, your best whatever it is. They're all fair. They're all fun. They're all funny. They're all like these great things and people you respect. What is Joe Judge? Do you think he sounds fair from what you hear from training camp? Do you think he sounds like a funny, good humor? Do you think he's like, there were 4 retirements from the Giants veterans. You've got guys running laps like in record numbers that NFL teams don't really do. That's more of a middle school thing. I don't know. Like, again, it's just, there's a very fine line between harsh but fair and just harsh. And I think it was very clear. You've got, coaches fighting with him and them getting fired in the middle of the season. And he's just not a coach that I think, from an outsider perspective, he's at the bottom of the list of guys I'd want to play for. And they're off to an 0-3 start. And it's then all those issues get even worse.
The Lions and Giants are both 0-3, and we talk about them in totally different lights.
That's very true. You know what the difference is? Third-year quarterback, make or break season. Yep. Why aren't the Giants?
The Giants had expectations.
Yeah, it's all about expectations. If I asked you why the Lions aren't good right now, you would be like, well, they're first-year rebuild, first-year coach.
You look at the talent across that roster, and it's bleak. And they're hanging with the Ravens. They're hanging with the Packers. Yeah. They're hanging with the 49ers. Like, you look at the talent across the Giants board, and you see all these high-paid guys and high draft picks and quarterbacks that should be good. That's the difference, yeah.
Speaking of the Lions, that is, I don't know. You guys know what happened. 66-yarder off the bottom.
Yes.
Of the goalpost and watching the replay. If you look behind the goalpost at the Lions fans, because this is a road game for the Ravens. They were at the Lions. You can see people go through a full range of emotions in about 1 second, because I was watching with my friends and we thought the same thing, that it didn't go in. That split second, it doesn't make any sense for it to bounce off the bottom post, and it seems like it would bounce out. Or we figured it was short, but that's got to be the best kick
Justin
I've ever
Tucker's
seen.
just that
It's the best
good,
kick I've ever seen. There's more clutch kicks in the playoffs. I know. It's the best kick I've ever seen. I don't care.
It is to set an NFL record for distance while also winning the game like that. Yeah, I think it's pretty obviously the best.
Road?
And I think Tucker is the greatest kicker of all time, and it's just insane how good he is, because has the most powerful leg of any kicker maybe ever, is evidenced today with him setting record.
No, he has the most powerful leg ever.
Like evidence to hit today by him setting that record, and he's also the most accurate kicker of all time. Imagine if a quarterback was the best runner and the best thrower, or a wide receiver was the fastest and had the best hands. Like or a defender was like, a linebacker was the best against the run and the best against the pass. It doesn't happen, but
it's not fair.
Like,
it's not
Tucker
fair.
is the most accurate and he has the strongest leg, and he's like he's automatic. He's an anomaly, because kickers are usually pretty inconsistent year to year, and Tucker is just like always.
We were talking about this in the group chat earlier about how there are 10 maybe kickers ever
in the world. It
just,
seems like it would be an easy job, but no, you're very lucky if you have a good one.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time a guy will be good, and then they'll miss like one kick, and it'll screw them up, and they'll never be good again. How many times will a kicker just be right? How many times will a kicker just be great, and then all of a sudden he stinks? It's like, what happened, dude? You were great for 5 years.
Walsh, he was like the best kicker in the league for a season.
Blair Walsh was automatic. He was money for a little bit there, yeah.
And then he missed one field goal in the playoffs, and that was it.
That was it. Very inconsistent, but yeah, and that was a weird game, and I don't know what it means for the Ravens going forward, but I do know that it's a good sign for the Lions, and I think that the way that they've hung with 3 good teams in a row, with tons of draft picks on the way, as a Lions fan, it's got to kill you that their record isn't better and that they've been in all these games. But I do like the direction that they're headed.
Yeah, no, as a Lions fan, you have to be at least a little bit positive, right? Your mind has to be going in the right place. I don't know. As someone who has been
you've done this
in the rebuilding process, I've done this a lot. I've done this more than once. If I were a Lions fan, I would feel okay.
They could have stayed where they were at 7, pick number 7, and taken one of the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. And you've seen how that's gone so far. They're all bad right now, but they took Sewell, who has been very good, and got draft picks for the future. So I think you've got to feel good if you're a Lions fan, because, Goff maybe isn't that guy, but, you look at what Fields and all these guys, Wilson and Lawrence, what all these guys have done. Mac Jones today looked bad. Like, maybe it was lucky of them to not get one of those guys, although it may be way too soon to say that. But
all skill.
I'll say, if we're talking about the rookie quarterbacks, there's one play in particular that I wanted to talk about. In the Jaguars game, they're up 2 points, and Urban Meyer, or whoever is play calling, but I'm going to blame Urban Meyer for the Jaguars, calls a flea flicker, and it's an interception. And that struck me as such we're Ohio State playing Rutgers or whoever play call. Don't do that crap in the NFL. This is not college football. This is not a D2 team you're paying $100 million, $1 million to come and play you. This is a team you're the underdog against. You're going into the fourth quarter. You're trying to hold to a 2-point lead with a quarterback who has been throwing a ton of interceptions and making a ton of mistakes. It's like the dumbest possible play call. And it frustrated me a lot because I think overall, if you look past all the terrible, terrible interceptions that Lawrence has been having, he hasn't been all bad.
No, Lawrence
has shown the flashes.
Lawrence has shown flashes more than I think the other quarterbacks have. Fields really has Fields today. We'll get into Fields today, but oh my God. Wilson had a couple against the Panthers, I guess, but since then it's been horrible. And then Mac Jones hasn't really flashed too much at all. So it's Lawrence, at least there's at least a throw in every game. And there were multiple in the first game where it's like, that's a high level NFL throw. And he had one today, the first touchdown to Chark, where he stood in a very collapsing pocket, lofted it over a guy and hit Chark in the corner of the end zone. I do think that although Lawrence has not been good, he's not been a good quarterback. He's given me some reason to think okay, there's
you can see clean up this, and all of a sudden he's really good.
There's also the concern of how much is that coaching staff really helping?
Yeah, I think the thing with Lawrence is there's poise there. That's the thing that shows me. With Fields, there's no poise. There's Lawrence is at least looks kind of comfortable more than the other guys.
There's some aspects of being a quarterback that you can fix in the NFL, that you can get better at. Throwing dumb interceptions sometimes like that, or just thinking you can squeeze a pass in when you can't into a tight window. That's something you can fix. And it seems to me like the problems with Trevor Lawrence's game isn't that he isn't extremely talented or that he can't create offense, but it's things that I could see a young quarterback realistically fixing. Right. And I feel like that's what gives me hope for him.
Right. Yeah. No, I think I'm not going to talk about Mac Jones yet. I'm going to hold off on Mac Jones. I'm going to hold off on Mac Jones, man.
I'll say this:
listen. If I'm not going to sit here and apologize after 2 solid games, I'm not going to take a victory lap after, when he was 1 for 8 on any pass over 15 yards in the first half.
Very respectable.
Not going to take a victory lap.
Yeah, he's not going to talk about him being.
I think about Mahomes though, and the fact that he sat that first
Matt,
year.
I see you picked up on that.
The fact that he sat that first year and inherited a really good team, Mahomes did. I don't think Mahomes is the product of that system at all. I think he has grown into someone who elevates anything that he's in. But I do think that if Mahomes went first overall to a team like the Jets and had to get thrown in right away, I don't think there's any chance at all that he is the Mahomes we see today. I don't think there's any chance at all. I think Darnold, who was drafted when he was 20 on that Jets team. If Mahomes was drafted when he was 20 and thrown into the fire right away, I promise you, he is not regarded as a lock Hall of Famer, maybe the greatest prime we've ever seen.
A big part of not just being a good NFL player is the situation that you get thrown into. If you get thrown into an awful situation, you're probably not going to develop very well. And it doesn't matter how good you were in college. We've seen great talents not turn out. And
that goes for Wilson, and that goes for Burrow and Lawrence. That's not just a Lawrence thing. That's everyone. But eventually it gets to the point where it's okay, you have to show something. But that point is not really in 3 games, although I do think that some of them look a little bit over their head.
Well, speaking of the Jets, or I guess more about the Broncos, we all locked the Broncos.
We all locked the Broncos, and
they won.
Did they win by the most points so far this week?
I believe
so. They did. I think it was
26 to nothing.
20 something to 0.
Nice. That's
you guys get points. I locked in the Chiefs. And you guys both get 3 points. So it's a 3-way tie.
Theo. I questioned you on it.
I'm not going to say that I didn't think the Chiefs were going to win, but I thought that was a pretty nuts lock. And there was a point in time. I can't lie. I keep up with them. I keep up with who's got what locked and what games.
So do I.
It makes it more
fun.
So do I. So I'm sitting here. I'm watching Red Zone, and I'm like, okay, well, Theo's shot. Ravens won't win. Chiefs won't win. And then Ravens, it's 4th and 19, and then they hit the field goal, and then Mahomes has it,
They feel inevitable.
And he's going to throw a Hail Mary. I'm like, if Theo wins this, it's going to be a very terrible episode of the podcast. I'm not coming.
On the longest field goal in NFL history, and a Hail Mary to like Tyreek Hill? Bro, come on.
Well, here's the thing about, there were points where it felt inevitable when you were watching the Chiefs and Chargers game where the Chiefs were down, and it just felt like they would just drive down and score, you know? Like, yeah, and then at this point with the Chiefs, they just feel like Thanos. They feel inevitable. It feels like there's always too much time on the clock for Mahomes. And I felt like that at multiple points in this game, and I felt like that before the game. It's just like, yeah, maybe the Chargers will beat them, but I don't know. It just seems like they're inevitable.
My big concern,
they're not losing 2 in a row. So I wouldn't say that, yeah, obviously it was a bad loss because they lost, but that was just my feeling. And I feel like everyone can kind of relate to the feeling that the Chiefs are just going to find a way to do it. And that's what I was feeling before.
Trust me, I get it. My concern was more like the NFC West always plays each other, or the AFC West always plays each other really well. They do. Always, like, I have every team in that division splitting because they always play each other so well.
And that's the thing. I feel like picking divisional games for this is risky. It's a tough one.
I don't even know if I'll pick the Browns as a lock against the Bengals.
But the Chiefs have lost 2 in a row now. And that is not something that we're used to from them. And I think of the Orlando Brown trade, and I think of that, how that was viewed as such a fleece when it happened, because it was viewed like the Chiefs really got the better of that deal. And the Ravens get away, and he looks like maybe one of their best defensive players right away. And it's like Orlando Brown hasn't totally lived up to his billing. He hasn't been totally awful, but he's not really a scheme fit. And, fumble Packers, they got it. That would be big. Anyway, what was I saying? I just think the Chiefs have made a lot of mistakes. You know, you send maybe your biggest rivals a first-round pick that they spend on a great player for a guy who's not a scheme fit. You take Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. You take Nick Bolton with your first pick, who's not really a linebacker for this era. Again, they're playing with fire. They have Mahomes, and then they kind of make these silly managerial decisions. And it's like, now they've lost 2 in a row when they really need to be making hay. And I made a video about it. It's like, I don't like the vibes of this Chiefs dynasty right now. I don't like the direction.
The other thing I'll say, and I don't disagree with you, the other thing I'll say is that they could very easily be 3-0 right now. They're not, but they lost to 2 good teams in very close games. I think what I've learned from the NFL is if you pay attention to cap space and you like an NFL team building, you'll realize that your window to win Super Bowls is never as big as you actually think it is.
Oh yeah.
It is not. It's not like as simple as, well, here's our quarterback. He's going to play for the next 15 years. That's our window. It doesn't work like that. There's a big, and I'm not saying that once Mahomes gets paid, their window is closed. It's just a lot smaller.
And Brady,
it's a lot harder.
Yeah. And as someone who has watched Rodgers, right, play at a high level for a decade, right, a level that you would be happy if Mahomes kind of maintained for a decade. Maybe the back half of the decade, Rodgers did kind of take a little efficiency dip. But you can have a great quarterback, and if you make silly managerial decisions, like they don't even have to be horrible, but if you're just not perfect, you don't get any ring. Peyton Manning won 4 MVPs, 3 MVPs in
5.
Indianapolis. He got 1 ring there. Drew Brees, greatness. Like top offenses every year, 1 ring in New Orleans. People think Tom Brady is like some like normal thing where you can just like, oh, that's a dynasty. That's what dynasties look like. Like that is not you. Even before that, like 6 rings from Mahomes is not happening. You know, it's not. Maybe 2 or 3 do, but even now I'm looking at that like, man, this is the time. This is the time. And I don't know if this is the time now after they've lost 2 straight.
And Matt, you say they've lost to, good teams, the Ravens and Chargers. Mm-hmm. Their schedule doesn't get much easier. The Eagles haven't looked bad. Jalen Hurts has looked quite good. The Bills are obviously very good. Washington, their defense is really, really good. Chase Young has kind of morphed into, a better pass rusher. Tennessee's obviously.
Washington's defense sucks. It sucks.
Washington's defense is not that good. It really isn't. I was
We
watching.
can look at that and be
have-
like, oh, that's a tough game on the schedule right there because that defense, we got to stop looking at it like that because it's not clearly.
I guess. The Chiefs
admit-
should beat Washington. They should beat the Eagles. They should beat the Giants. I'm just saying, like, Washington, I wouldn't say it's a gimme.
Washington's defense last year, very good front four, and it's still a very good front four. But the secondary is not quite there. The coaching, there's a lot of holes in the zones. You know, last year they beat up on a lot of bad quarterbacks in that division. Like they just obliterated some really bad quarterbacks, and that put everything up. And then it's like, you know, plus defense year to year is not super consistent.
They're not doing a whole lot offensively right now, are they?
No,
Yeah,
but
so
anyway,
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, their schedule doesn't get there.
Chiefs.
I mean, they play the Packers, they play the Raiders twice. Obviously, they play the Chargers again. Pittsburgh kind of sucks right now. I can't lie.
20 targets for Najee Harris today.
I have a question for you guys.
Who is the best team in the AFC?
No.
Oh,
I was gonna say the
that's
Browns,
my question
but-
after this.
How many quarterbacks starting right now would you not take over Ben Roethlisberger?
None. Oh, zero.
No.
Zero.
See, here's the thing.
There's
What
going to
about
be a
Zach
couple.
Wilson?
Ooh,
Or like these rookies?
Zach
Wilson has a bigger
Wilson
arm.
in particular.
I would rather
would
take
consider-
Zach Wilson
yeah, I
than
would
Ben
also take
Roethlisberger.
Zach
Targeted Najee Harris 20 times today. He tripped over his own feet, just like rolling out. He airmailed a pass directly. Chase Claypool had like
Fantasy gold,
10
baby.
targets for like 20 yards. Like he's just not an effect. Like even with Wilson, as unlikely as I think it is, like you'd take him just because if he was in a perfect situation, I feel like he could do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe there's a chance.
The Steelers are you swap Roethlisberger and Wilson. The Steelers are infinitely better.
Do you think
I don't
Roethlisberger?
know, infinitely better, but
Maybe, or I will say Wilson would be infinitely better.
I'm really worried about the Steelers because the way that we're looking at it then now, let's say Roethlisberger is a bottom 5 starting quarterback or whatever.
Yes.
He threw it 58 times.
yep.
If you're asking your players who are not that good to do a lot on offense, that's not going to be a good offense.
They also got 0 sacks today. The streak ended against the Bengals
TJ
offensive line,
Watt
who's been leaky
play.
as hell. Like against all the teams to
realize
lose the
that.
streak over, they lost it to the Bengals.
So I don't. That Bills win is looking really weird. I wonder what the narrative around the Steelers would be right now if they hadn't pulled off that win against the Bills.
And they looked bad for the majority of that game. There's been like one half out of 6 so far that they've looked anything close to competent.
Steelers fans were like down my throat after I locked them.
What?
Yeah. Steelers fans were giving me
tough.
such a hard time after I locked them to lose and they won. But I think that was the right pick. I really do. And I think the Bills just came out and had a bad game. I think that's all that happened.
I think so too. And the Bills really looked sharp today, and Josh Allen looks like 2020 Josh Allen, which is very good to see if you're a Bills fan. What I want to ask is this though: who is the best team in the AFC?
It's got to be the Browns, right?
Is it? It could be.
You know what? I'll stick to my guns. It's still Buffalo.
It's Buffalo.
Yes.
I might say it's the Browns. I might say it's still the Chiefs that scare me the most. Like
That's fair.
if I was a, and even that's with me.
Theo, you wanted to talk about the Chiefs' defense. What about the Chiefs' defense concerns you?
Everything about the defense concerns me.
It didn't do good.
Nick Bolton and Hitchens and Sorens, they can't really tackle. Their linebackers aren't really in the right place. Chris Jones is a good pass rusher, but he's not super great against the run, and he's their only really good pass rusher, you know? And like Chris Hughes got burned today. Snead had a bad defensive pass interference. There's no real lockdown corner on that team. I think they've got good safeties, but that's about it for them. They've allowed tons of rushing yards over these first couple weeks here. And you know, they haven't been locking anyone down, and it's a problem because with the 1 seed, there's only one seed now, and the 1 seed is such an advantage. Like, to win a Super Bowl, it was like years went by without a team not having that one seed winning a Super Bowl. And I know the Buccaneers did it last year, but there's only one now. So if you don't get it, you have to go through 4 tough games in the playoffs. And if you don't have a good defense, and really also the thing with them is that Kelsey's been their only reliable wide receiver. Hill hasn't been super reliable over these past 2 games since the Browns game. And,
After
outside of
Denzel
Hill, they don't
Ward
have any
locked him
good
up,
wide
man.
receivers.
Denzel Ward.
And with all that being said, just because they have Mahomes, I might still say that they're like Mahomes and
He's
Hill.
just that good.
He's just that good. Like, their big 3 is just that good. And there's no other team that's really elevating themselves into the conversation of elite in the AFC right now. So it might still be the Chiefs, but the NFC looks a lot better than the AFC.
I don't know. I think people are definitely hit the panic button about the Bills too soon. They had one goofy week 1 game, and if that hadn't happened, I think more people would agree with me. If we're going to sit here and say, like, how much does that count for the Steelers, which is kind of bogus, wins or wins, then I could do the same thing for them right now. The offense has scored 35 and 43 points the last couple of games against the Dolphins and Washington, who neither of which are pushovers on defense. I think they have insane receivers. Their depth at receiver is crazy good. And Josh Allen is he's just played fantastic today. I watched most of that game.
He was on
really,
one today.
really good. People definitely, I'm thinking this is how he'll look more so than those first couple.
Their schedule lightens up considerably after this. It was tough draw Steelers, and then I guess Dolphins have kind of a good defense.
Once you get past this Chiefs game, you get to play the AFC South, and you get to play the Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah, so I definitely think
Falcons, and
this isn't a hot take or anything new, but yeah, pretty much the same old contenders: Chiefs, Browns. Bills and Ravens are probably the teams to beat. So nothing crazy. It's just who would you pick out of those? And I think the Browns are I think that's a valid team to pick.
Listen, man,
the way
here's the deal with the Browns.
We can get into them now.
Here's the deal with the Browns. The one thing that I noticed about the Browns today especially was when one thing wasn't working, something else always was. Nick Chubb, not like totally irrelevant for most of the game. Kareem Hunt, on the other hand, was a monster. Mm-hmm. And apparently Baker Mayfield noticed before the game that he looked angry, and he was like, "Oh, he's gonna run angry today."
Tall tales.
And someone tweeted out that Kareem Hunt, every time he touches the football, it looks like it's his last time that he's ever going to touch a football.
I think they have 2 top 10 running backs in Chubb and Hunt.
They reasonably do. And they looked awesome running the ball. And when they weren't able to pass the ball, they were able to run the ball. When they weren't able to run the ball, they were able to
Odell,
come out.
He had, I think, 5 catches.
Odell was the
all for first downs, plus a rush that went for a first down. Nothing crazy statistically, but a bunch of first downs.
For them to ease him back in, he looked great. Yeah, and that's the big thing. You talk about the depth at receiver for the Bills. I mean, the Browns didn't have Jarvis, and they got Odell back, trying to ease him back in, and they looked awesome. Donovan Peoples-Jones looked phenomenal. Had multiple really nice catches. What's his face? Austin Hooper had a really nice touchdown grab, and it was a good throw by Baker to put it over the linebacker. I think that was Roquan Smith, wasn't it?
I don't know. I didn't watch the whole game,
but yeah, I don't know. The Browns offensively, I think, are just hard to stop because they can do so many things, and they have the best offensive line, or arguably the offensive line in football.
Was honestly pushed around today. Their offensive line, they only had 3 points at halftime.
Khalil Mack looked really good. They have I can't remember.
Goldman, Quinn,
Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn got a lot of pressure
against the Bengals too.
He was in the backfield a lot
too. But Quinn had a bad year
the Bears have
last year, and he's looked good 2 weeks in a row. But even though I think you're right that a lot of things went wrong for the Browns, and they still were able to win the game by a pretty considerable margin and allow one net passing yard. That's pretty intense. I don't care who you're going against.
We got 67 yards in sacks.
I don't care who you're going against. That's pretty intense. And a lot of that is on Fields and Nagy and the offensive line was bad offensive execution. But you do got to give some credit to.
Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was ferocious, man.
And now he's the deep boy favorite.
Yeah, leading the league in sacks now.
4.5 sacks in one game. God.
I just want to go back because we talked about it last time, and I'm sticking to it. You know I'm a huge Ohio State fan. Y'all know that. And I'm sure all the listeners do because I talk about it all the time. It's going to kill me when Justin Fields eventually ends up getting hurt. This is like worst possible case scenario for him, isn't it? He's running. He's getting crushed. He's already a guy who I think is kind of
running for his life out there.
And I can't see this ending any other way if it's this bad. We had our take that you shouldn't start him against the Browns because the pass rush was too good.
Yeah.
And I started to shy away from that. I'm like, yeah, I guess you do just have to put him in. Maybe we were right. Maybe
we definitely were right.
Maybe not.
Why? I was thinking that before the game. I'm like, I can't believe they're actually starting this guy. Myles Garrett's going to eat him alive. And he did.
Who is the Bears? Because here's the other thing, right? Dalton is hurt for a while.
Yeah.
Who else is who's the other quarterback on that team?
Foles, probably. And I think it's very realistic that Foles just straight up starts over Fields next week. I think it's very realistic that they just bench Fields and put in Foles even if nothing is wrong with Fields.
I would agree. I think I would roll him out against Detroit. Like, all right, here's Detroit. This is a little bit different. They don't have Myles Garrett. And if that doesn't work, then it's like, yeah, dude, you're sitting the rest of the season.
They play Detroit and the Raiders. Two teams that don't have exactly ferocious pass rushes. Although the Raiders have been not that bad defensively. Not horrible. Not the worst in the world. But yeah, and then you have the Packers, the Buccaneers. Justin Fields is going to die against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, he's like, I can't imagine how that game
you
goes.
Can't. That's and then he has the 49ers after that, the Steelers, TJ Watt's going to be back. This dude goes Buccaneers, 49ers, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it's really rough. And against I went so back and forth on my evaluation of Fields before the draft, but one thing I was always pretty sure at, I mean, I haven't looked at my final grades on him, but he doesn't have great pocket presence. He does not have great pocket presence. And I think he was getting the ball out relatively quickly today, even though he took all these sacks. I don't think it was that he was holding the ball a super long time. I think it was just that bad. But yeah, I don't know. He's a tough eval. He's a really tough eval, and it's off to a bad start for him. But you know, at the same time, Nagy needs to go. And it's crazy to me that he's even still there because he gave up play calling duties last year and the offense got so much better. And then he took them back. And now this is the result. You get like, look at what's happening, Bears. Like, just get rid of him. No one likes him. He's another guy where I talk about like, you need to be a good person and a good leader of men to be a coach. And I look at Nagy and the way he acts in his press conferences does not give me that vibe. Like, just kind of seems like annoying. I don't know, or like sullen. He's another guy where it's like he needs to go. But after a performance like that, it falls on everyone. And Fields is not without blame. Like, Wilson has all these problems too, and he's not putting up one passing yard, one net passing yard. So it's just abysmal for everyone involved.
Even if he didn't have one net, having like under 70 passing yards, not a good look. Not a good look by any stretch.
Well, here the Packers are taking the field here, and our defense has just choked.
I was about to let you know that the Packers are down.
Our defense has just choked what will probably be a game-winning drive for San Francisco. It looks like Devontae maybe dropped that pass that Rodgers threw. It seemed to me like that was a pretty good throw that Rodgers had that would have iced the game that got dropped, and then we had to kick a field goal. So we'll see how this goes for our Green Bay Packers and my bets that will almost certainly fall through now.
This will teach you a lesson to not bet on
there we go.
Everything.
Big throw to Devontae. He catches it at the 50-yard line. Clock is running, 26 seconds.
There's something I want to rant about.
Yeah, go for it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
While you're finishing up the game here.
Doing my play-by-play?
Doing your play-by-play. Every time. It'll be like, this team has a bad quarterback. Okay, this team has a negative quarterback. All right. And then I'll watch it, and then after the game, I'll check the stats, and it'll be like, oh, he threw it 50 times. This guy threw it 60 times. He's the backup. This didn't happen 5 years ago, or am I dumb, right? I mean, like, Brissett had 50 attempts today for like 200 yards.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I watched a good amount of that game. And I just, and he had some he did not look like a very great quarterback. But I don't know. I guess they just felt that they needed to point points on the board. I don't know. I think it's just bad coaching also by the – I don't think the Dolphins are very well coached either. Did you see that safety that they had?
Yes. Offensively, I think the Dolphins are kind of a mess.
I was going to make a TikTok about how the Jaguars flea flicker was the dumbest play call, but then I saw that play on the 1 yard line and I was conflicted.
That's way worse. You just throw it to a screen with no one blocking in the end zone. Like you're a badly coached team. Oh, we're in field goal range. Spike the ball. We're gonna have Crosby on to win it. Rodgers is magic here, driving the ball down the field.
And 37 seconds?
37 seconds with no timeout. Easily got him in field goal range. He's pumped up. He's fist pumping and celebrating as he leaves the field. Come on, Mason Crosby. Anyway, hopefully he pulls through here.
I'm sure, and I'm sure he will.
I try not to harp back on the same points over and over. I try not to say the same stuff. But every week I watch the NFL, there are more and more teams where I'm like, you guys would be way better if you would just sign Cam Newton. Obviously, you would be way better. And it's not even
the
debatable.
Pittsburgh Steelers?
Some of these teams are just running out with quarterbacks who give them no hope. And I get Cam Newton isn't perfect. I get he wasn't good last year. But even on with one of the worst supporting cast last year, and he had COVID, and with a weird offseason, he still was not as bad as some of these guys are playing. And he's sitting there in free agency. Anyone can pick him up, and they just won't do it. And it's killing.
I mean, there was a game, the Seahawks game week 2 of last year, he accounted for, I think it was 95% of the Patriots' yards. He almost won that game against like the 3 seed in the NFC by himself. Like solo. Yeah. He soloed them like 1v11. 95% of the yards. And yes, you would be better with Cam if you were Miami than Jacoby Brissett. You would be. You'd be better with Cam if you were the New England Patriots than Mac Jones.
You would be better with Cam if you were the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There's 3 teams
and the kick
right
is
there.
Up, and it is good. Packers win. Let's go, Mason Crosby.
See, Aaron
Rodgers.
This is the problem I have with Theo. This legitimately bothers me.
Theo's
huge game,
team.
prime time, game-winning field goal. He's like, all right,
let's go. This is huge. That's such a big win.
You gotta get hyped, man.
This dude.
What do you want me to do, man? You want me to yell and scream? That's not the kind of person I am. Our producer is a Packers fan. He says, "Let's go." Okay, I'll get excited. Can I?
Theo,
let's fucking go,
Theo.
man. Rodgers, 37 seconds left in the fucking game. No timeouts on the field. He drives the ball down to field goal range with nothing, just automatically. And he shouldn't have even been in that situation because of the dime he dropped to Devontae that Devontae couldn't quite come down with in the end zone. There was a point this game where it was 17-0, and Rodgers they gave a kickoff, they returned it. And the next time Rodgers touched the ball, it was 17-14. Like, I swear to God, this guy, he's nuts. He's broken. He's cracked. I think maybe it's him and Mahomes still as the best quarterbacks in the league. Rodgers is magic. He's a god. I don't care. People were so mad at him after game 1 where it was like, oh, the offseason, he doesn't care about the team. Everything Rodgers does is right. He's based. I love Rodgers. Look at LaFleur, man.
It's not on the same level as Mahomes. Not quite, but he does give you that. You gave him 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's what really separates the great quarterbacks from the mid ones. It's not even like we can talk stats and we can talk efficiency and we can talk, like, I feel like sometimes you're just like, oh my God.
You know what makes
him way too much time.
It's the difference in a
right,
2-minute
Kirk Cousins this year. Kirk Cousins
drill.
is playing fantastic football this year. Absolutely great quarterback right now statistically. I still am not scared of him when he's like a 2-minute drill. I'm not. And it's like he might be top 10 the way he's played this year, but there's a tier where it's like Tannehill puts up elite numbers. Tannehill is in the top 5 in every metric that you can find. And there's no statistical argument against it. But it's like, I'm not that scared of him in that situation. Rodgers, that's the kind of win that is intense. And
the difference is when I
right
watch the Browns and they're like doing a 2-minute drill, I'm holding my breath. But like you're watching a 2-minute drill knowing that you're watching like a 30-second drill and you know that 49ers fans are holding their breath.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I've been so lucky to watch Rodgers over this decade. Like, I watched a little bit of Favre. I don't remember all that much of him, but this is my thing with Rodgers. I don't have him in the top, probably. I might have him like 5 or 6 greatest, like accolades wise. He has the MVPs. He has several all pros, but I recognize that I have Brady over him all time. I do. Like, Brady has just as many accolades, but he's had a higher degree of efficiency over a longer period of time. Like, Brady is a greater quarterback than Rodgers, but like, it's the thing. It's true. And I know no one wants to hear it. Brady fans don't want to hear it, but there are a couple throws a game that Rodgers makes that just other quarterbacks don't do it. Like, his 500th best throw of his career would be like career highlights for even a guy like, I think, Brady. Like, even a guy like Brady. And it's insane to have that. We've been so lucky to watch him. And this was just another crazy moment. And he has that stat where he never comes back from against winning teams when he's down by more than one. He's clutch. He's clutch as hell. I don't care. Anyway,
I'm glad we got
you want to see me. You want to see me with some excitement.
I'm just mad that we had to pull teeth to get it. The Browns were 0-14. They beat the Chargers on Christmas Eve. I cried. All right, like, I don't.
What does that have to do with anything?
Like, the Browns were up 28-0 on the Steelers in the playoffs. I was floating. I was on another plane of existence.
Is like, if this happened to Blaiden, if the Browns just did what the Packers did during the podcast,
he'd be running around and yelling and screaming. Yeah. It would make for a good podcast, though. You know, it's better for me to keep my cool. And Aaron Rodgers is incredible. If you ask for it, I'll give you a little bit more excitement. But I am a very measured fan. I'm not someone who's going to freak out.
I think there's a balance. I feel like what was the right bowl of porridge? And
you got to be a little bit more excited. I got excited.
I think I'm the right bowl of porridge.
All right, you always are a little bit. You do. That is kind of your MO. Is you always are kind of the like perfect amount of everything. Like, there's in a weird way.
Matt's the least hated on the podcast,
and there's a reason, and it is a little bit because you do approach everything in kind of the right way.
You know what it comes down to? How much hate you put out is how much hate you get in. So
it is true. It is true.
You just try to limit negative opinions. That's why I like to do underrated videos, but I don't do overrated videos.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Unless see, the thing is that you kind of do have to play it a little bit because I still want to be able to talk about sports. So I don't make an overrated video for the sake of like matching my underrated one. But if there's a guy and I'm like, he is overrated, and I feel passionate about a take, then I'll give it even if it's negative.
Like Ben Simmons.
Look at how that went. Like the one caveat to this, can't control myself with Clemson. Can't do it. They lose, I'm happy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Clemson fans listening or watching this. Grew up in South Carolina. That side of the family, Gamecocks fans. My dad's side of the family, Ohio State fans. Not a Clemson guy. Maybe this is a transition into college football. Clemson just lost to NC State. It's widely regarded. It's not a hot take. I think we can all just discuss it like it's normal that Alabama and Georgia are the two teams where it's like they actually look like title contenders. Right.
Real. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Any other takeaways from this college football?
Theo, you said you put in a group
everyone
chat.
Sucks. What?
You put in the group chat that this would be a great year for a 12-team playoff.
Or it won't be a great year.
I think that, this is killing me. I definitely think that this will be the most interesting year of the playoffs, even with a 4-team.
Yeah.
I think that this is the year where you can see some new conferences, some new teams get in. I think this is the year where a certain group of 5 team actually has a reasonable playoff path if they win out. You can sit down here. We're sitting here after week 4, and I could tell you exactly what would need to happen. It's tough, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. And here's the thing. Yes, I do think it would be a good year for a 12-team playoff because even though I think Alabama and Georgia are the 2 best teams, I do think that they could get upset by a 12. I think both of them a team like Florida, a team like, I don't know who the Arkansas.
Both of them are on upset watch next week for sure.
Right. Both of them are on upset watch. I could definitely see if there was a 12-team playoff this year. I think those 12 versus, and it wouldn't even be a 12 versus 1 because the first 4 seeds all get buys. Mm-hmm. But it could be a 1 versus 8 situation with Alabama. And I wouldn't be like Alabama could roll. Like it would be a hype playoff. And I don't think, and it's not because all 12 teams are really good. They're not. All 12 teams are like kind of bad, which is why it would be fun to see them all duke it out because there would be definitely some crazy, crazy games. So I'm not mad. I'm not, it's not in state yet, but I do think it should be for you guys. I hope you feel a little bit reassured that the 12-team playoff won't be too bad.
No, yeah, I'm still a fan of BCS, but
yeah, I would.
I do agree. Could you even get 2 SEC teams, Alabama, and I'm not totally clear on how that all works. Could you even get Georgia versus Alabama if it was BCS?
Probably not. I mean,
but then it would be they would play in the SEC championship.
They would.
So it's not something you have to worry about,
right?
If I can, I've been thinking about this for a while. I know I talk about the same goddamn college team, but I go there and we're good.
You don't go there. You dropped out.
No, I'm not dropped out. I'm just taking no classes. But I'm not dropped
out. Taking a gap.
Kanye West, the college dropout.
An indefinite gap year.
If you want to see Cincinnati, and this is also, I feel like there's a fair amount of people who are rooting for this. This is like the underdog of the year. 3 things you need to happen. Number 1, we have to win out. Not guaranteed at all. I think Notre Dame game is a coin flip. On the road, that's a tough one. But if we can win that game, I think winning out is looking pretty solid. You would need another Power 5 conference outside of the ACC. ACC is shot. They're done. Yep. You need another Power 5 conference to blow their playoff chance. And
want to hit this ACC pack, Matt?
Absolutely, buddy. Dude, you guys know how much you'll hear SEC cupcake talk or whatever. You'll hear it's like, oh, why did Alabama schedule this one game? The ACC is the conference that deserves all of that. But regardless, the Big 12 is like, Oklahoma looks vulnerable. They could definitely blow a game.
I can't believe Oklahoma hasn't lost yet. They look horrible.
They do look really rough.
They look horrible.
We're sitting there. Maybe Oregon, probably not. Their schedule isn't too tough.
They just Arizona, like U of A, just kind of hung up with them. So it's possible. Can they slip up? And then the Big Ten, that's a whole mess right now because Ohio State doesn't look like they're gonna. I mean, I'm saying this as an OSU fan too. They don't look like they're gonna win out at all. So I'm sitting there. I think at least one of those conferences can implode a little
Iowa
bit.
Iowa lost. Didn't
they
they?
didn't.
No, they did.
I thought they did.
They looked kind of. They were on upset watch for a little bit, but they did pull away.
It was Iowa State, right?
Iowa State did lose.
Iowa State lost. Yep, that's it. Okay.
And then the other thing you would need to happen, and this I think is a tough one, is that the loser of the SEC, the runner-up, has to have 2 losses. They can't have 1 loss, or they'll put them in over us.
Yes. And this is why you want 12 teams, so Cincinnati would have a chance, and it would be fun to watch. They might get blown out, but the athletes
actually, I kind of think the 4 team is a little bit fun in this way for Cincinnati, where it's like this and this and this need to happen. Otherwise, it would be like, what? We could maybe – Notre Dame would be sitting here like, if we lose this Cincinnati game, we could win out and still make the playoffs. And like, that would be so – the stakes for next week are ridiculous, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at it, like, next week is my playoff game. This is a playoff
that's
game
always
for
been my biggest problem. And I think it's Matt's problem too. At a team playoff makes it matter less.
It's just some of the it's not. It does make it matter less.
It would still be a high stakes.
It would, but it wouldn't be the same.
Playoff. It would still be, and then you get 2 high stakes games instead of 1. And the playoff game is still the playoff game.
Or what you do is you go back to the BCS and this one is still a great game. It's awesome.
Facts.
Yes.
Whatever.
I'm with you on this.
All right. Okay. Anyway.
Other than that, though, I think the SEC is like crazy, crazy good this year. Oh, my God. They always are, but oh, my God.
Especially when you compare them to the other 4 conferences.
It's ridiculous. The gap is insane. Yeah. And I know the other conference ranking-wise that looks pretty good is the Big Ten. I don't know if
it'll
the
be
Big
interesting
Ten is
during
as good
bowl
as they're ranked
season
right now.
when the SEC gets to match up with they spread out and they all play their other conferences. If the FCC just goes like something stupid like 10-0 or something.
A lot of it has to do with matchups. You can be the better conference, but if you're like fifth best team ends up going against the Big Ten's like second best team,
True.
and it can get all weird. So I think people put a little bit too much stock into that. But I'm really excited for next week. We got 3 really good games. We got Alabama, Ole Miss. We got
Matt
Georgia,
Corral,
Arkansas,
baby.
and then we got Notre Dame, Cincinnati. Those are 3 playoff level matchups, if you will, since they're all top 12. So,
So Blaiden, don't watch the like 1 seed versus or like the 2 seed versus some unranked team. You know,
I'm watching Alabama versus Matt Corral.
Yeah, well, those games will be on, and then some dudes just sitting there watching,
and then it'll be like
NC
LSU
State versus
like
Louisville Tech or whatever.
Don't watch that one.
This is Matt Corral's case to A, be the front runner for Heisman, which I'm pretty sure he already is.
I believe he is as well, yes.
And B,
Louisiana Tech,
to be the number 1 quarterback for next year's draft.
Yes.
Like, this is that game where if he wins this, or I don't even know if he'd have to win it, but if he looked awesome and he kept it close, people's eyes are really going to start turning. And I think they already are. Matt looks awesome, and he is awesome.
Yes, it's very interesting. And even Rattler is interesting because it's like before the year, he was QB1, right?
And I don't know why.
The reason why is because he was so talented but super raw. And now he's still super talented but super raw, and he's in a free fall. So you got to show that growth. And Matt Corral is showed some growth because he was
Matt Corral was bad as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He was really bad as a freshman. Sophomore year, he showed a lot of good stuff, and then he had like that game against Arkansas where he threw, I think, 6 picks or whatever. Not good, right? And then this year, through 3 games, he has 9 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. Come on, man.
All right.
He's QB.
Yeah, I could see it. I haven't really began my scouting process yet, but it appears to me that all the quarterbacps are really bad. So we'll see. Maybe
except for Matt Corral, man.
Except for Matt Corral, I'll keep
Matt Corral's the only good one. I promise you.
Somehow I knew you weren't going to like any of the quarterbacks, Theo.
Because they've all been playing bad. Maybe Howell. I don't know. Howell seems like Baker to me, and Baker's not the worst, I guess, but we'll see.
I don't know.
None of the draft community likes. Like, this is not just a me hot take thing.
No. It's not.
This is like the consensus among the draft.
I just wanted to make like a little joke. So.
Nah, man. Matt Corral's going to be better than every rookie quarterback was this year. He's going to be the best rookie quarterback. He's going to be great. I promise. Take my word for it. Take my word for it. But do you guys have anything else? Theo's shaking his head.
I'm all set.
Matt's all set. All right.
Go.
Go Browns, man. Just a reminder that we are still doing that giveaway, the jersey giveaway. Again, all you have to do to enter, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with your Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok handle, and we'll pick a lucky winner the next couple of weeks. But other than that wraps things up for us. As always, a ton of content coming your way on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You already know the vibes there. We'll be back Friday to preview Week 4, of course, after the Thursday night game. And don't miss out on all the great content coming on all platforms. And until next time, from Corn Boy, Theo hates it, but Nut Boy, I don't hate it that much, but Lemon Boy, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
You love it. You love it, Lemon Boy.